Good evening, friends. I'm Mary Trier, the chair of the board of the National Center for Simulation. It's my pleasure to welcome you here tonight as we celebrate and induct some new members of the National Center for Simulation's Hall of Fame for 2020 and 2021. Now, some of us are gathered here at the permanent home of the Hall of Fame at the Orange County Convention Center, and some of you are joining us online. Welcome to everyone. Tonight's ceremony is about a handful of people who researched, led, created, motivated, and had a passion for their different projects and programs in our industry. Each of these individuals will be introduced very well in a little bit. But tonight, also with them, are friends, colleagues, and lots of family members. And I want to acknowledge them and the support role that they have played in the successes that each of you have made. I also welcome our dignitaries, our esteemed members of the Board of Directors, stakeholders, and sponsors. And just as these family members played an important role in helping the achievements of the inductees, you guys help us do our mission at the National Center for Simulation. And welcome to you, and thank you very much. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our National Center for Simulation President and CEO, Mr. George Cheros, who's doing an amazing job growing our industry, leading our successes, expanding our simulation and training industry to include virtually every business sector. Please welcome George Cheros.
Thank you, Mary. Let me express my appreciation and thanks to you for your outstanding service as NCS Board Chair for the past 2 years. Good evening to everyone, and welcome to the 2020 and 2021 National Center for Simulation Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Before I get the program started, I want to take a moment to let you all know what a privilege it is to be part of tonight's ceremony as we honor our Modeling and Simulation Hall of Fame inductees. We canceled last year's ceremony due to COVID, as we deemed this event far too important to be just a virtual ceremony. We intended to have a full house here in person tonight, but circumstances prevented that. So we have the best of both worlds. 5 of our 6 honorees are here in person, and thanks to the generosity of Orange TV, Dr. Pamela Boyers is watching live from Omaha, and we will have her recorded acceptance speech tonight. Pam, we look forward to seeing you in person in the near future. Now let's recognize our sponsors. Please hold your applause, and we'll thank them all at once. The University of Central Florida, Lockheed Martin, Applied Research Associates, the University of Nebraska Medical Center, Symmetry, Full Sail University, Truist, Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, Engineering and Computer Simulations, Mach Technologies, Duke Energy, Raytheon, Aptima, and the Orange County Convention Center, and Orange TV. Thank you, sponsors. We could not have done this without your support. We also have some special guests to recognize, and again, please hold your applause till I finish the list. From UCF, the Board of Trustees, Beverly C., who is the immediate past chair of the board, and in 2017, she was inducted into the NCS Hall of Fame. I would also like to welcome from UCF Dr. Grace Bohanec, Director of the School of Modeling, Simulation, and Training, and representing all the Team Orlando commands here tonight, Captain Dan Cavelli, Commander, Naval Air Warfare Center, Training Systems Division, and Naval Support Activity, Orlando. And we have 2 retired NOC TSD commanders as well. One of them just retired, Captain Tim Hill, and the other one, Captain Bill Roto-Rooter, who is also an NCS board member. So please welcome all of these dignitaries as well. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having a much larger cast return next year. The NCS Hall of Fame was established in 2014 to recognize pioneers in our industry whose passion, dedication, perseverance laid the foundation for today's multi-billion-dollar simulation industry. Modeling and simulation has really made its mark on Central Florida, our state, and the nation. The technology and applications, which in many ways were inspired, developed, or spearheaded by these 28 individuals over here with their plaques on the wall, and the 6 that we are going to induct tonight. They have provided excellent tools and training support to allow our war fighters to encounter almost any type of situation imaginable, not to mention the countless lives that have been saved. Now, after 6 decades of growth and development, our region is known as the epicenter of the world for modeling and simulation. But as evidenced by our inductees, collaboration takes place not only all over the country, but all around the world. Although simulation was primarily developed in the defense and space industries, we have embraced the opportunities for the transfer of this proven technology and have watched it expand to many other segments of our economy. Segments to include education, medical, energy, transportation, manufacturing, architecture, engineering, construction, digital media, serious games, and cybersecurity, just to name a few. The future is boundless, as evidenced by the growth into new arenas like artificial intelligence, digital twin, and extended reality. And so, from humble beginnings, simulation now touches virtually every aspect of our lives. We are here tonight to induct 6 more pioneers into the National Center for Simulation Hall of Fame. First, we will induct our class of 2020, Dale P. Bennett, Dr. Pamela J. Boyers, Dr. Charles E. Hughes, and David L. Peters, followed by the class of 2021, Robert L. Caddo, and Ronald Kornreich. So, to get started, it's my pleasure to introduce our Master of Ceremonies for the Induction Program, our Chief Operating Officer, Dr. Neil Finkelstein.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much. Welcome, inductees, families, friends, and colleagues, as well as everyone that's tuning in live, and for those that will be tuning in live over the next 12 months and when we start posting this on social media. So thank you all for being here today, and I want to welcome all of you to the Orange County Convention Center and the National Center for Simulation Hall of Fame, Wall of Fame. So welcome, everybody. And let me quote the great American poet, Will I Am, from the Black Eyed Peas. Let's get it started. All right. To present the class of 2020, first inductee, Laura Frank is a National Center for Simulation board member and vice president of strategy and business development at Lockheed Martin Corporation. And please welcome Laura to present the first inductee, Dale Bennett.
Thank you, Neil. Some innovation in modeling and simulation are driven by a customer need for a solution. Some are driven by visionary leadership. Dale Bennett, a longtime Lockheed Martin executive, championed both during his career in the defense industry with lasting impacts to how simulation is used and its growing legacy. I've known Dale for more than 40 years, and I've seen firsthand his contributions that he has made to the aerospace and defense industry at large, and specifically to training and simulation. And he did this in order to effectively prepare warfighters for their important missions. Dale is an amazing business leader and strategist. He is an excellent engineer and problem solver. And he honorably served our nation in the United States Air Force. Yet, what really sets Dale apart is his passion for people, and that includes the warfighter. Let me share with you what will be written on his plaque. In recognition of Dale Bennett for pioneering a global military training paradigm shift, providing turnkey training solutions, an approach that delivered integrated performance-based solutions focused on training outcomes, enhancing warfighter readiness at reduced risk and cost. His leadership was also essential to the development and fielding of the effective F-35 Lightning II training solution. He is also recognized for more than 40 years of visionary leadership and customer-focused solutions with lasting impact to simulation and the MS&T industry and military training. His work as an executive at Lockheed Martin became a driving force for reinventing the way simulation was used. Additionally, Dale Bennett is recognized for his work in advancing visual simulation software for game-based training, and for his leadership during Operation Iraqi Freedom, providing a quick and effective convoy simulation program for the Army and Marine Corps to help save lives threatened by improvised explosive devices. So in closing, Dale touched countless lives through his immeasurable contributions to modeling and simulation. The technology is important, yet Dale never lost sight of the fact that technology needs to support the warfighter as a tool. The main goal is to support military personnel in completing their mission and returning to their families safely. Dale, thank you for being an inspiring mentor to so many, including myself, and to have us keep driving forward to keep serving personnel making sure the service personnel are well equipped and well prepared for the mission our nation calls them to perform. So Dale, with that, would you please come up and say a few words?
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much, and thank the NCS for nominating me to such a prestigious award, and I'm just blown away by it. So the Board of Directors, the leadership of NCS, and the entire community, quite frankly, and the amazing work that you all have done for the last 6 decades. It's just truly amazing. I'm honored to be here, and I'm humbled to be in the presence of the other awardees tonight. You know, just a little reflection on Orlando and the epicenter of modeling and simulation, which it really is. And if you think about innovation and how do you accelerate innovation, well, you do that by bringing together the different stakeholder communities. So you bring in the scientists and academia, and we certainly have one of the best in the world here in Orlando. You bring in, the big companies, the big integrators. You bring in the innovation of the small companies and how quickly they can move and how agile they are. And you put them in with the operators. And you listen, and you think about the mission. You try to understand the mission, and it's our responsibility, industry side, to bring those solutions forward for the warfighter so that they can train like they fight and move them forward. At the end of the day, our jobs are to train the warfighter to fully exploit the capabilities of the tools that we put in their hands, conduct their mission safely, and come home to their families. And that's what this is all about. In my 38 and a half years at Lockheed Martin, my time at the simulator company, or training company, was just absolutely amazing. It was very rewarding. Laura mentioned the convoy trainers. We trained over 200,000 soldiers and Marines and really did save lives, I think, with that solution. We had the first prototype done in 60 days from when we heard the need was out there. We helped the international community think about the Joint Strike Fighter Lightning, the 5th-gen fighter, coming to them, and put forth some really unique training solutions, turnkey training we called it, in Singapore, Australia, and the UK. And these are 25-year programs that we launched in preparation for the JSF Lightning. So those were just a couple of the great things we did, but we did it within this entire community. We did it with UCF, we did it with the small businesses, and we did it with our customer community and delivered that to the warfighter. And I couldn't be more proud of those accomplishments. And I just would leave you with the challenge of the future. We're not done yet, and it is amazing to see and hear how expansive it's gotten with the medical city here in Orlando, and thinking about education and all that. But we have cybersecurity, and we developed the cyber range here in Orlando. But thinking about cybersecurity, you think about hypersonic weapons, and the battle space is getting much tighter, and how does the Missile Defense Agency deal with cross-domain solutions, and how do they exploit through simulation the con-ops that could be possible if we could integrate these things, it's there. The technology's there. We just have to help our customers think through the con-ops. How would they deploy it? How would they use it? And there's just some huge challenges ahead. And so I know this community's up to those challenges. I wish you the best with that. And thank you so much for this recognition. Thank you.
Fantastic, Dale. Thank you so much. All right, next, Janet Spurl is the National Center for Simulation Board Secretary and Vice President of Programs at Aptima. Janet has an impressive career that has spanned both government and the private sector. And please welcome Janet as she will now recognize and induct Dr. Pamela Boyers.
Thank you, Neil. Good evening. Good evening to everyone joining us online. I am extremely honored this evening to present Dr. Pamela Boyers for induction to the National Center for Simulation's Modeling and Simulation Hall of Fame. Pam currently serves as Associate Vice Chancellor for Clinical Simulation and Assistant Professor of Surgery at the University of Nebraska Medical Center, UNMC. As George mentioned earlier, Pam is unable to be here with us in person tonight. However, she's watching us from Omaha. So please join me in welcoming Pam, her family, her colleagues, and friends who are participating in the virtual audience with us. Dr. Boyer's focus is on improving patient safety outcomes through transforming the education of healthcare professionals. This involves the adoption of modeling, simulation, and visualization to improve the outcomes of training. Pam began her medical career as a registered nurse, then completed her MA and PhD in counseling and education at The Ohio State University. Pam believes in working closely with small, scientific, innovative businesses, industry collaborators, as well as the U.S. military to find better ways to improve safety, quality, and cost outcomes. Pam's a lifelong medical educator with significant experience in designing and operating interprofessional medical and simulation centers. She's well published and speaks both nationally and internationally. Most recently, Pam and her team have prepared healthcare professionals as individuals and teams to keep them safe and at the same time provide the best possible care for patients with COVID-19. I'll now read the inscription on Dr. Pam Boyer's plaque. In recognition of Pamela J. Boyers, MA, PhD, a lifelong medical educator and transformational leader in healthcare education, for her adoption of modeling and simulation to improve human performance and effectiveness for healthcare professionals, through her national and global leadership in the concept of creating interprofessional simulation centers and moving healthcare toward a competency-based training model, she dedicated her career to reducing the escalating number of avoidable deaths due to medical error. These achievements are demonstrated at the University of Nebraska Medical Center with the creation of the Davis Global Center in Omaha, Nebraska, a facility with 5 distinct levels that incorporates a replicated healthcare system, from home to hospital and back, where the transfer of patients and handoffs can be practiced. The center's multiple M&S modalities, including X-Reality, stimulate new teaching, learning, and research and development methods. Dr. Boyers is a true collaborator, partnering with numerous simulation organizations to ensure state-of-the-art realism in educating and training healthcare professionals. Congratulations to Dr. Pamela Boyer. Now, before we hear from Dr. Boyer, Dr. Jeff Gold, the Chancellor of the University of Nebraska Medical Center, would like to offer his message of congratulations.
Good evening. Congratulations to all of the inductees to the National Center for Simulation, Modeling, and Simulation Hall of Fame. Of course, I wish to offer extra special congratulations to my longstanding colleague and dear friend, Dr. Pamela Boyers. Dr. Boyers and I have worked together for nearly 2 decades, both at the University of Toledo and at our current home, the University of Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha, Nebraska. Throughout her career, Dr. Boyers has stretched the thinking of our campuses, of our faculty, staff, and students alike. She's encouraged them to realize the tremendous positive potential that simulation and modeling have on the student experience and the learning environment. Today, in Omaha, we are using simulation in new and innovative ways to ensure that healthcare providers are receiving the very best education and training. In turn, patients who come into our clinics and hospitals are getting the very best of care that's available. Our new facility and the staff are learning in the $120 million Davis Global Center. The Davis Center is a multi-level, truly interprofessional clinical simulation center that opened just about a year ago today. The research and the business development opportunities of this center are vast, but it's through the improvement in healthcare delivery that the Davis Global Center will have its largest effect for generations and generations to come. This is a safe, innovative, and hands-on training environment, an environment that was built because of our faculty, staff, and students, as well as many elected leaders and several generous benefactors, came together. They brought a shared vision that simulation and virtual learning can and will improve the human condition. This buy-in occurred in no small way because of Dr. Boyer's unique ability to passionately promote and demonstrate the effectiveness of simulation. We're certainly indebted to Pam in so many ways. So too are the countless individuals whose lives will be improved because of the education and training that healthcare professionals have received and will receive for decades to come in the Davis Global Center. Pam, from all of us here at UNMC, the entire University of Nebraska, the Omaha community, congratulations on this well-deserved honor. We are all so very, very proud of you.
Mr. Mayor, President Chiros, Orlando Modeling and Simulation Community, and fellow awardees, good evening. My personal journey to this M&S community began several decades ago when, as a young nurse in London, England, I witnessed patients dying from medical oversights. It was those indelible experiences that began my quest to improve patient safety. Strongly believing a solution lay in education and training, I spent several decades as a medical educator. While attempting to bring about sustainable curriculum changes, I came across the awesome power of tradition. Meanwhile, over the last 20 years of this century, hospital deaths from medical error rose from 98,000 a year to 400,000. Despite sincere and concerted efforts like the introduction of barcodes, checklists, and process improvement activities, medical error is today cited as the third leading cause of death. The cost to the United States is $1 trillion a year. I sincerely believe in 2021 we have the concepts, tools, and the technologies to help change that curve through transforming the health professions training model. Engaging with wonderful organizations such as ITSEC, SOMA, NTSA, and NSC introduced me to the M&S community. Here we found companionship on our journey. Industry, manufacturing, government, and the military were also seeking solutions to improve safety, quality, and cost. Attending meetings, especially the Florida Simulation Summit, inspired important ideas for the creation of iExcel at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. Over the course of this journey, I learned an important lesson. Achieving significant and durable change requires bold, purposeful paradigm shifts. Transformative endeavors necessitate partnering with the right people, conducive milieus in which to experiment, and bold, supportive leadership. I accept this honor with deep appreciation to the University of Nebraska Medical Center for the leadership of Chancellor Jeffrey Gold, and in recognition of the visionary community of leaders in Nebraska who made IXL and the new Davis Global Center possible. My deep gratitude also goes to my very supportive family, and especially to our IXL family, who each day work their hearts out to bring a vision to reality. My profound thank you also to the National Center for Simulation and the modeling and simulation community. Together, in partnership, Orlando and Omaha will continue to seek solutions to real-world problems. Thank you for the honor of being nominated and selected for this prestigious award.
So Pam, we have this for you. It's very, very heavy. It'll break the bank if NCS ships it, so we'll ask our title sponsor, UCF, to ship it out to you. We miss you. We hope to see you at the Florida Simulation Summit. We have a table for you for your whole Nebraska team, so we hope to see you there. All right. Next, we want to welcome Angela Album, CEO and founder of Symmetry. Angela is a longtime member of the National Center for Simulation board member and past chair of our board. So presenting the induction of Dr. Charlie Hughes, please welcome, she's here, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the honor to allow me to induct a very dear friend and mentor, Dr. Charlie Hughes. I'm going to have to read my notes because I find it too hard to be able to say something without crying. So I'm going to read to keep me busy. Charlie has been a key to putting UCF on the map. I don't know if many of you know this. I know, Lee, you do. And many of the geeks in the room know this, but UCF was put on the map well before even our football team was televised on ESPN. And the UCF computer science competitions over the years have produced some incredible talent. It has put UCF on the map, not just nationally, but internationally. And Charlie is one of the founding members of the department as it is today, and certainly has been a part of that. So thank you, Charlie, for doing that. Go Knights. I'm going to read some excerpts from the many different letters that I received when I put the nomination package together. These folks have either been friends, mentees, or colleagues. Dr. Mark Colbert from Google. I am the search experience front-end lead for Google, helping to direct and build much of the future of the product used by billions of people. And I also am lucky enough to say I was a former grad student of Charlie Hughes. Sincerely, I do not think I would be where I am today without the support, guidance, and mentoring that he provided me during my time at UCF. Dr. Carolina Cruz-Nera, a colleague that he recruited from another prestigious university. And had it not been for Charlie, she probably wouldn't have come. Dr. Hughes is an excellent candidate to be included in the National Center for Simulation Hall of Fame. He's a pioneer, has an incredible track record. He has the same or stronger drive to keep pushing the limits of his research field today as he did in the beginning of his career. I can personally attest to that. Many a time we've been up at 3 or 4 working on a proposal together, and Charlie still has to go work with a grad student or write some code after. And that's to this day. I think his children can probably attest to that as well. The man doesn't sleep. He's an extraordinary researcher with many contributions to the field of simulation, as many contributions on educating the next generations of modeling and simulation professionals. From the Dean of the College of Engineering and Computer Science, Dr. Michael Georgiopoulos, Dr. Hughes is an innovator in course development, designing and teaching courses in computability, theory, parallel and distributed computing, enterprise computing, and virtual environments. More than those courses, he also developed entire programs, either as one of the lead or founding faculty members. There are now more than 200 graduates a year in information technology program that Charlie was the founder of.
He envisioned the structure, he co-designed the curriculum, shepherded the approval process, acquired the startup funding, which anyone in this room can relate to, especially in academia, and how hard that is. Advised students for the first 2 years, developed courses including enterprise computing. And Dr. Curtis Lyle, he said that for those who have been in the M&S community long enough to remember the advent of distributed simulations, Charlie has made some very important things possible through SimNet and DISC protocols, which is why I'm looking at you. And much of the work that he's done in the graphics community related to Dead Reckoning, which is how we keep consistent views of the virtual world and the synthetic actors within the virtual world. This is heavily cited work in the computer graphics community and a fundamental technology that we use today in most modern simulator systems, still to this day. At this time, I'm going to read the inscription on Charlie's plaque. It is my honor to begin this induction in recognition of Charles E. Hughes, Ph.D., for over 50 years of unique contributions in the modeling and simulation field. Dr. Hughes is an award-winning teacher, accomplished researcher, life-changing coach and mentor, and an advocate for advancing the state of computing, engineering, and education. He is noted for work in virtual learning environments and has been a force for the development of UCF's position as a leader in simulation since joining UCF in 1980. That's when he brought his family to Florida, where they settled. Since then, and throughout his career, he's accumulated more than 80 grants and contracts, 3 patents, and nearly 250 publications. I actually recently read your CV, and it's 25 pages long, at least the version that I have, in preparation for this. He's founding director of the Synthetic Reality Laboratory, co-lead of the Learning Sciences Faculty Cluster at UCF, and founding and co-director of Teach Live, a revolutionary simulation program that trains the teachers of America's most at-risk students. With all he has achieved, it is Dr. Hughes' collaborative nature in the simulation industry that's most impactful by his work in teacher and physician education, his co-development of the Learning Sciences Faculty Cluster, his membership in the Disabilities, Aging, and Technology Faculty Cluster, and his passion and willingness to serve as a faculty member in 3 departments in addition to the primary computer science department, which he has been at since 1980. At this time, I'd love to ask you to come up here, please, Charlie. And while I honor you, I must also honor your wife and your children who have been a part of this journey all this time. Thank you.
You know, the old joke goes, I'd like to meet this person, because much of it just, what it comes from is finding smart people to work with. And that's what I think that has been my talent, finding them, getting them to work with me, getting them to make me look good. And, but that's also the job of my family. There's one right there, 53 years worth, 2 grandsons, 2 children here. This is a terrific event for me. I started, it was 59 years ago, it'll be 60 years this spring, when I started working on the ballistic missile early warning system. It's been a long time. And what was fun, do you know what program validation was then? It was a Freedom desk calculator where you did, and that's electromechanical, and it would walk the desk, and you'd have to push it back to the center, it would walk again. And that's how you validated software. So things have changed just slightly. One of the best moves I made was coming to UCF in 1980. And that was, I found a place that didn't have a history, and as a result of it, it didn't have walls. Maybe there were walls, but they were made of paper. And so you can walk from department to department and find collaborators who listen, and more importantly, who'll talk and tell you and teach you how to contribute to their particular discipline. So I don't know diddly squat about a lot of areas that I've worked in, but what I do is find really smart people who know what to do and know how to take advantage of the little things that I can contribute. And I've had a lot of fun doing it over the years. And now I may be having some of the most fun, because after getting involved in teacher training, I really went back to what I'm more passionate about, which is the education of the people they're educating. And if you want a tough, you deal with people in situational awareness and very tough circumstances. Middle school teachers do that all the time. It's a brutal environment. And so we've created that environment as a virtual experience for people so that they have that and they don't do damage to real kids, and real kids don't do damage to them because they have developed their skills before they get in. Lately, what we've been doing is working with kids with autism, and it is a joy to see them. We have had them in virtual environments and watched one particular child, he's no longer a child, he's a young man, go from where he would just look at his shoes, and he would say woot woot, to actually looking you in the eye. Now, does he look away? Of course he does. But now he can have communication, and that came from his being comfortable in the environments that we created. And so now we're working on teaching kids robotics. They sometimes lie on the robots, but it's, the kids who lie on top of those robots who make the most fundamental changes versus the ones who are just right on top of it at the beginning. They don't sometimes make those giant leaps that the kids do. So I've had a great career. I have a great family. I love you all. Darren, thank you for bringing your brother down, or your brother for bringing you here, whatever. But my son came from Nashville down here for this. And then Darren got a whole bunch of my former PhD students who are my children. I am their academic father, and I'm an academic grandfather in some cases. And they have done a video, and I haven't seen it yet. I'm really anxious to do that. So I'm going to get away from here so I can do that at some point. Thank you, by the way, to NCS and to everybody here. And I get to see old friends that I haven't seen for a while when I come here.
That was superb, Charlie. And Angela, thank you so much. Next, please welcome Bill Roto Reuter. Roto is the founder and CEO of R² Solutions and a National Center for Simulation board member. And please welcome Roto to introduce and induct David Peters.
Thank you. We are here to honor folks. We also get to have a little fun. So, Charlie, having spent a little bit of time with Angela, I can tell you that you've had an incredible impact on her life. And for that, I am grateful. So thank you for that. And of course, the Roto's a little bit spontaneous at times, so stand by. I get to announce and to facilitate the induction of a pretty inspiring guy from my vantage point as well. Dave Peters, has dedicated his entire professional life to pioneering, and we're going to talk a little bit about pioneering and what he's done. Modeling and simulation visual systems. He says to me, I'm a visual guy, right? I'm a visual guy. I like visuals. Well, 18 patents later, he has matured and founded and pioneered so many things that are in use today. I love some of his patents that I think are actually the coolest. We were talking about it over dinner. So if you were to take a virtual scene and put it in front of binoculars, to me that's virtual reality. We didn't have an Oculus, we had binoculars. back then. And MacGyver here, right, was able to make that happen. We talked about forward-looking infrared sensors. We talked about a lot of different things. The one that I'm geeky passionate about was the leveraging of the GPU in parallel to actually generate data in a visual scene, and to do that in a way that was much more agile and much more compelling. So, but when I read some of these things, that I copied out some of the most academically offensive things, meaning that they were like this jargon that nobody else would understand but you. A foveal-driven optic display dome system using eye-tracked servo-driven projection system capable of being considered for 360-degree coverage of an eye-limiting resolution. But other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, right? So and the Royal Air Force actually bought into that, right? And so that was something that you created. So, you know, Dave and his team did successfully put together that GPU computed solution for rendering scenes, and something that we do today, and it's getting even better and better and better. And I learned a lot from him and his team on exactly what that meant. I mean, I'm an aero engineer, but I'm not into that, but I'm fascinated by it. He led a team that utterly transformed the way that industry renders an visual system through the massively parallel GPU. But I'll tell you what he did that was probably, and it's kind of like, a lot like you, Charlie, and a lot like a lot of others that have been inducted in the Hall of Fame. It isn't necessarily their technical prowess, it's their legacy. And it's the people that they have influenced along the way, and the selflessness that they have engaged in their tradecraft, and that they have put those kind of people around them and been able to inspire them to do great things. And Dave and I had a great conversation about that. And we're both passionate about servant leadership. We're both passionate about the fact that, you know what, it's really about the people you put around you and that you bring them together as a team. And Dave has done that in droves and has impacted a lot of lives. And much, if not all, of those technologies that I talked about are in place today. In some instantiation, yeah, they've matured, some of which has been matured in his own company, Diamond Visionics. But this modeling and simulation ecosystem has been moving so fast with technology, and we leverage pioneers like you to move it forward. There are kids at UCLA that you were lecturing, and it wasn't only about the technology, it was about what it took to get something done. And so for that and so many other reasons that I will not bring up today, if I can find Dolly's email with what's on the actual inscription, we want to honor you, and I am really, really honored to be part of the process through the nomination and through you being selected. So I will read the inscription on your plaque. In recognition of David L. Peters' lifetime dedication and to advanced modeling and simulation visual systems technologies, delivering transformative change to benefit both the MS&T and the aviation communities. Of the 18 patents he holds, perhaps the most significant is the eye line of sight responsive wide-angle visual system, which provides optical dome systems with an eye-tracking, servo-driven projection system, a leap forward for pilot training at the time in modeling and simulation and training. It tracks the pilot's view and provides the 360-degree perspective and coverage. In 1985, meaning that was before 85, introduced in 1985, he led a team that developed delivered the first successful forward-looking infrared sensor simulation, for the Apache helicopter trainer, which was chosen as the U.S. Army Weapon of the Year, a first for simulation. His team also developed the first graphics processing unit GPU, computing architecture to render native source data without the need for advanced compilation. There's a lot of tax on compilation. Compilation takes more time, it's a little bit more rigid, made it much more agile. This technology is still in use today by the Department of Defense and commercial simulators. David Peters' work changed the course for visual simulators and simulations and made a lasting impact on modeling and simulation and training. And for that, sir, we honor you and congratulate you and are grateful for you and all that you've done. Thank you. Come on up. Oh, got the right one. So I'll set this over here, and we want to hear your speech.
I too like to have a couple of notes around up in front of me. As Laura talked about all the things that I've done, and quite frankly, I've had a lot of ideas, which are great, but there's other people who actually put them into practice. And I had to choose the people and to encourage them and to help them go. I would like to thank Rhoda particularly and the whole committee for choosing me. I'm astounded, quite frankly. I'm a technical guy. And true, I lead my company now for 25 years, but it's a small company, you know, 18 of us, 19 now, I think. And it's been a lot of fun, but it's been an interesting life. The committee to choose a technical guy. You know, I haven't led any great committees or done things of that nature. I just build systems. That particular system, Rhoda talked about, the ice slave dome system. That made the cover of Scientific American in 1986. So the July issue. So that impacted a lot of people, just the idea. But to study how the human eye operates, how it works, what you see. I spent the first 10 years of my career working for the founders of television. Just pure luck to get that job. That they needed that they wanted a young engineer when I graduated to work for him. Barney Loughlin was my boss. 120 patents, including the NTSC color system. And I learned a lot. I learned how the human eye works, how it operates, what color means, how it functions within the brain, what you see, what the whole concept of saccadic suppression, and all those other things that the eye has. How do you see? It's an amazing, amazing event about how you see. Because what you see is made in the brain totally. I have a lot of people I'd like to thank, because as a technical guy, I depend upon other people. And I'd have an idea, and I'd go talk to people. My friend Bill Bennett, who is, he's still around. Bill is 91 now, and I see him every once in a while. We talk on the phone quite often. A very good personal friend. He's a guy I've always talked to. You know, it's that kind of a thing. And he's a very clear-headed computer guy. He and I are both interested in cosmology and things of that nature. I have a wide range of interests. I'd like to thank Professor Frank Caddo and Walt Chambers, who wrote letters of suggesting that I'd be worthy of this. I've known them both for almost 50 years. I've been in the business since 1959, so that's a long time and I'm still in the business. I'm the chairman of the board of my company, so it's still fun. I can still say it's still fun. I don't work that much anymore, one day every other week, but it's still fun. my son Dan here, and I'm also, I think the most important thing, I'm a father of 7. Dan is here, my son, with my latest grandchildren. So it's been a fun life. Just some of the technical people. My partner within the company, Dave Dovan. When I first joined Link in 1971, there was this young guy sitting beside me in a desk. We became friends. That's my partner today. So we worked together kind of in 25 years. He went off in a different direction. He became sales guy. He was a sales manager at Link. I went off in the technical direction by choice. They wanted me to become program manager, and I skated around that very, very carefully. I'm a technical guy. So I ended up on the technical director staff. And that's the kind of things. If you set your goal and you can go for it, watch for opportunities and take them. Ron Hendricks, who was my boss for many, many years at Link, he was technical director of the company. Absolutely marvelous leader. Taught me how to lead, what you do with people, how you get people to work with you, always to work with you. That's the whole concept. My primary key was a cup of coffee and sitting down. They'd be working, I would walk, sit down with my cup of coffee and talk. Actually listen. And that's how you get people to work together. They can be, I was talking earlier on a problem, and I was asked to fix a problem. It was horrendous. Horrendous. Everybody yelling at one another. You walk in, a mistake had been made, and the task was to get people down. These are smart people. They can fix the problem once we find it. But you have to get them to work together. And that's the key for any kind of engineering effort to be successful. There were some people, the geniuses are sometimes quirky people. And I just want to mention a few that I've worked with. Different individuals, perhaps, but I took care to try to protect them just as long as I could, because I depended upon their innovation abilities to work. People like Dick Tresiak, Dick Mecklenburg, who was an optical genius, Dick Mallinson, who could take any three-dimensional geometric thing and figure it out. Where you place projectors within a dome, how do you cover the field of view, what they look like. Sure, they got programs down. Back in those days, they didn't. You did it, paper and pencil. And so that was interesting. You talked about the GPUs. When we started my company, Diamond Visionics, 1996. One day, there was 3 of us in the company. Okay. One day, there was a knock on the door, and this young, fresh-faced kid said, "Can I talk to you about a job?" Sure. And he said he had seen our name in the Yellow Pages, which was amazing. We were 4 months old. I didn't think that we made the Yellow Pages within 4 months, but he said we did. And I kind of liked what I saw. I'd like to come to work with you. I started talking to him. He was 19. And I let him talk with my computer graphics guy. That was the 3rd guy. And he said, "This kid is a genius." So I hired him. Tim Wood is the actual guy who actually came up with the GPU approach. on this thing that we're doing right now, where we design a computer graphics from source. He came to me one day, he says, I have an idea. Can I do it? And I said, sure. That you're allowed so many hours a week, do it. And he did, and it worked. And so we got a contract with that. That's how it works. You don't say no, you say sure. If somebody has an idea, go ahead. So, and my present leader, Greg Amen, is the chief engineer at a company. He really runs the company. Dave and I talk about the financial side and the big decisions, sort of a thing. Do we go for this or don't we? But it's primarily Greg who actually runs the company. There are stories to tell. I got a countless of them. And how luck plays so much. And one of them, which has always intrigued me about the result of it, I had put together, as Roto said, the forward-looking infrared for the Apache. And that's a big deal. That's what the Apache is. It's an infrared flying device. Well, sure, there's an out-to-window scene, but they never look at it. They wear their helmets, and what they see is this little tiny tube out here that you look at. And he, so we had that running, but it was giving us problems. That was in the days of hardware. Not computers, hardware. The cards were 20 inches wide by approximately 15 inches deep. And there was a whole bunch of them that actually made the image generator. And one day, the Undersecretary of the Army was coming for a demonstration. So everybody's at attention in the suits, and like this. Yes, sir. And he came in. He was walking up the stairs, and the primary visual for the commander, which was the one he was going to see, went down. The screen went blank. Normally what you do with that, you shut the system down, pull the cards out, reseat all the cards again, turn it back on. It takes 15 minutes to 20 minutes. I looked at that. I said, I turned around, took the heel of my hand, and went, bam! It came up. It has one of the things that, don't panic. What could it be? A card wasn't seated right. And this was the card I've been having problems with. So probably that one. So what can you do within 30 seconds? The good old hand. You kick it hard. And so there's a lot of luck, a lot of thought. Don't panic. The person I would like to thank most, though, for all of this is my wife. She died last year on February 22nd, 60 years to the day that we met. And the day after you called, in fact, and the day after the little one there, that's crawling around on the floor someplace, was born. And I think she waited to open her eyes up to see, and she smiled. We have 7 children, and it's been a wonderful life. And that's, took them down here. This is my first meeting of Mackenzie, which is the baby, who's now 2 months old. And it's the first time that we've met. And it was for the past few days to sit and to hold her and to feed her and burp her and so forth. What a joy. What a joy of life. Thank you.
It's heavy. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
David. Well done, well done. That concludes the class of 2020 inductions, and now we're going to move on to the class of 2021. To present the class of 2021 first inductee, John Gibbons is the founder and the original president of Bohemia Interactive Simulations, the U.S. operations, and currently their military business board advisor. He also serves as the treasurer of the National Center for Simulation on our board of directors. Please welcome John to present and induct Robert Caddo.
Thank you. Thanks, Neil. It's truly an honor to present Robert L. Caddo, Program Director for Visualization and Simulation at Full Sail University, for induction to the National Center for Simulation, Modeling and Simulation Hall of Fame. Rob is here tonight with his family, Full Sail colleagues, quite a few of them, and his wife, Carol Caddo. Please join me in welcoming them here tonight. Rob's passion for technology and education led him to Full Sail University to teach emerging technologies in a higher education atmosphere. That passion for education and technology provided the catalyst behind creating new emerging technology degree program offerings to service our fast-growing industry. With the help of the degree programs Rob authored, Full Sail has been able to contribute to continuously developing well-rounded, technically astute, productive workforce in this environment and this epicenter here in Orlando. His contributions have helped numerous industries, including the DoD, realizing the benefit of technologies, modeling, and simulation, and to integrate it into their daily operations. In the pioneering days of modeling and simulation and using gaming technology, our company recruited many of these students. When I first started the company, I had nowhere to look at. This was a whole new Wild West environment of taking gaming technology and moving it into a well-established simulation and the systems that were out there, the big iron as they called them. A lot of those students and quite a few of Rob's instructors as well, to his chagrin. The students then and now are the cornerstone of the industry's military training capability, which uses these gaming technologies as their underlying command and control component. Rob's own statement kind of sums up his drive. I entered this technology realm with passion and hunger to educate future technologists with the ultimate goal of positively impacting the world that we live in. Well, Rob, I believe you've done that, and it's kind of evident by the many Full Sail alumni that are out there in our industries and holding positions in modeling and simulation community. But don't stop, because as you've heard from many of these other inductees, the technology continues to grow, it continues to evolve, and your passion is needed to transfer and continue to educate the next generation of technologists and educators. Today, Rob continues to contribute his education service at Full Sail, modeling and simulation workforce. The president, Jerry Jones, we're going to play a video of his congratulatory message for you.
I'm Gary Jones, president of Full Sail University, and on behalf of all of us, we extend our sincere congratulations to Program Director of Full Sail Simulation and Visualization Degrees, Mr. Rob Caddo. Rob is a lifelong educator who continues to innovate and elevate the industry of simulation, a man I've known for years and have called my friend for those decades. Rob, your spirit of pioneering through emerging technologies to continue unfolding their role in the advancement of mankind is eclipsed only by your heart for doing good for others. Congratulations, Rob, on being inducted into the 2021 National Center for Simulation, Modeling and Simulation Hall of Fame. You've earned it, my friend.
I'll now read the inscription on Robert L. Caddo's plaque. In recognition of Robert L. Caddo as the driving force behind growth, emerging technology, and game study education during his ongoing tenure at Full Sail University, coined the godfather of VR in the Full Sail community, he authored several of the degree programs, including its Bachelor of Science degrees in Gaming Development, Game Design, Simulation and Visualization, and Computer Science, as well as its Game Design Master of Science. Additionally, he pioneered the visualization of numerous emerging technology facilities at Full Sail to include the Game Development Studio, the Fab Lab, AR, VR, and the Simulations Lab. In 1990, before joining Full Sail, he created the first computer technology education program and lab of its magnitude in the state of Florida at University High School in Orange County. As an early pioneer of VR and simulation in Florida, Robert L. Caddo not only shaped the lives of his students, but also the way education is offered for those pursuing careers in the industry. His passion for and tendency for technology has been exuded in his 30-plus year career in technology and continues still today. Robert, would you come up?
Thank you, John. I'd like to start out by thanking the National Center for Simulation for this humbling recognition, and congratulations to all the other inductees being honored here tonight. Your contribution to the modeling and simulation community has made a lasting imprint on the emerging technologies field. Special thank you goes out to my wife, Carol, and for my family for being uprooted and following me to West Florida as I made a career transition into education. Your unwavering support has fueled the forward motion to this point. Thank you to Jerry Ham, an OCPS teacher and technology education director. Jerry was the one who opened many doors for me and granted me the opportunity to work as an educator and set up the first technology education program in the state of Florida at University High School. I'd also like to thank Mike Moschel and Dan Mapes for introducing me and my students to VR 30 years ago. That introduction and training was the wake of a new chapter and broader opportunities in technology, which eventually led me to Full Sail. With that being said, and thanks to all the folks here that joined me, I would like to thank Isis Joan and Full Sail for the opportunity to teach and to start the emerging technology degree programs at the university. Through this opportunity, I have had the continued support of senior leadership and the amazing faculty to educate the next generation of technology leaders. Like Charlie, an important lesson I learned a long time ago was that it's all about the people. I recognized early on that individually I don't have the talent to achieve all the programs and projects that I've accomplished in my career. I am lucky to have been surrounded by people that are smarter than me and have helped me with all these projects along the way. To the current faculty of the Simulation and Visualization program, thank you for your support and for making this an incredible program. And again, thank you to the NSC for this amazing honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob and John. Congratulations. Well done. Superb. Dr. Lee Lacey is a longtime National Center for Simulation board member and is Director of Programs at Disti Corporation. Please welcome Lee as he presents and inducts Ronald Kornreich.
Thanks, Neil. It's great to be here tonight. I'm here tonight because over 30 years ago, Dr. Charlie Hughes took a young computer science student and introduced him to the modeling and simulation world. So I really appreciate that, and it's great to see Charlie honored tonight. And I appreciate what George, Neil, and the NCS staff are doing. It's really about bringing together academia, industry, and government, and the class of 2020 and 2021 are evidence of that combination of the strength of our community through those three pieces. And one of those pieces, the government piece, and specifically the military, is represented by Ron Kornreich. It's an honor to present to him tonight. He's a retired United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel and former trainer development program manager at the Air National Guard, Plans and Requirements Directorate, and we're inducting him tonight into the National Center for Simulations Modeling and Simulation Hall of Fame. He's here tonight with his wife, Marilyn, and he has others watching virtually over Orange TV. Ron's a native of New York, and he had a passion for aviation that led him to obtain a degree in aerospace engineering from the University of Oklahoma before joining the Air Force, where he served as a fighter pilot and staff officer for over 26 years. He had overseas tours that took him to places like Thailand and Panama, where he oversaw fighter operations for the United States Air Force and its South Af. His passion for modeling, simulation, and training began when he was one of the original staff at the Red Flag combat training exercise at Nellis Air Force Base. And after retiring from the United States Air Force, Ron's aviation pioneering spirit and passion for training led to almost 20 years at Headquarters Air National Guard, where he was the driving force for modernization of simulation programs and new engineering technologies. Ron was directly responsible for the expansion of the distributed mission operations DMO training capability required by the Air National Guard, and he's widely acknowledged as the father of DMO for A&G. He's also credited with developing the concept and championing establishment of the Distributed Training Operations Center for the A&G, which is now a world-class DMO center of excellence, providing persistent distributed virtual training to the Air National Guard, United States Air Force, and other services. Today, Ron continues to contribute to Air Force training. He's a trustee on the board of the Virtual Flight Academy. He's an Air Force Association Life member, and he's the owner and senior consultant for Adaptive Simulation Consultants, LLC. We have a plaque for Ron tonight, and I'm going to read the inscription on that plaque. It says, in recognition of Lieutenant Colonel retired Ronald Kornreich as the architect and driving force behind the creation of the Air National Guard's Trainer Development Office, he directed the $250 million National Guard investment in training systems to meet critical, underserved training needs. After retiring from the Air Force, he leveraged his experience as an engineer and fighter pilot to deliver innovations in ground and aircrew simulators. His lifetime dedication to training earned him the United States Air Force's prestigious Modeling and Simulation Moody Suter Individual Lifetime Achievement Award, which recognizes Air Force leaders whose specific accomplishments and modeling and simulation innovations led to increased readiness and improved quality of training. Lieutenant Colonel Kornreich is recognized as an early proponent of distributed training with the creation of the A&G's Distributed Training Operations Center that annually supports thousands of virtual training events for the Air Force and other DoD components. Ron's dedication to the warfighter has made a lasting impact in aircrew training and on future systems acquisition and design. His simulator programs reached every state and wing and helped to keep our citizen airmen safe, ready, and relevant. So Ron, please come forward and give us some remarks.
George, Mary, Neil, Lee, and those of you who are here and the NCS board, I really appreciate you coming this evening for this wonderful ceremony, and certainly my fellow inductees. The advantage in going last is that my colleagues have expressed their gratitude for this recognition much better than I ever could. So I'll be brief, and I won't tell any more stories for those of you who know me. But it's quite special when you're honored by your peers for something like this. And it doesn't happen very, very often. So I'm truly, truly grateful for this honor. I was very lucky. I had a 20-year career in the Air Force, as a civilian in the Air Force, after an active duty career. And I was in a position where I felt I could make change. We started from almost nothing, yet I was able to see what we did delivered to the warfighters. You could actually see a program delivered And in government, that's unusual. Most of us would have a job for 3 or 4 years and move on, and you never see what you start actually come to fruition. So I was very, very lucky. There's an expression that if you love what you're doing, you never work a day in your life. Well, I plan to continue not working. My wife and I, she said, where'd you go? I lost her already. But there she is. We're actually moving to the Central Florida area next month, and I plan to be active in the NCS and the Air Force Association here and the modeling and simulation community for as long as I can. So again, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate this.
Okay, that's all 6 inductees. Couple of things I've noticed in these ceremonies. As we receive the nominations packages for all the individuals that have either been nominated or those that have been selected, you think you get a good idea of what they're all about. You see how impressive they are, all the things they do. But when you meet them in person, and I have met both Charlie and Pam Boyers before, it really gets magnified. Couple things I noticed tonight. One, all of you have extreme passion about what you do. You are all very people-oriented, and I think you're all very, very humble. One of the things I noticed tonight was, as I met some of you, you were the first one to thank me for getting this honor. And while I appreciate that, our role here tonight is to thank all of you. So one more round of applause for all 6 individuals. And then just a couple of notes before we head out. Let me recognize a few people that helped pull this event together. On the NCS team, in addition to Neil, I would like to thank Carla Hoskins and Lindsay Spalding. Special thanks to Dolly Glass and Capital Communications. In addition to corporate communication and public relations, Dolly is a fabulous event planner. She is responsible for all the logistics, marketing, and detailed planning that makes this event so special. And finally, to our group of volunteers, Caitlin Hill, Joe Del Rocco, Jason Henders, and Kara Finkelstein. Thank you all. And one more quick note, please watch your emails for information on the upcoming 7th Annual Florida Simulation Summit, co-hosted by the National Center for Simulation and Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings. The summit is scheduled for October 19th here at the Orange County Convention Center in the North Concourse on the other side of this building. This year's event will also be live streamed by Orange TV for those who can't be here in person. As a reminder, the summit's intent is to explore simulation applications across a number of sectors beyond defense, and this year's theme is cybersecurity, enhancing reality through digital twin. For our live audience, please return to the Southside Restaurant to congratulate our new inductees. For those of you watching at home, thanks for joining us. Finally, one more time, I would like to express my gratitude to Orange TV and our sponsors for making this event and broadcast possible. Drive safely, and we'll look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you.